this.
Okay.
But there's a rumor that there's this intimidating toothbrush that's been terrorizing
Listen.
people. And so,
Listen, Linda.
Have you been ran out of your
honey,
home?
listen.
Have you been ran out of your home because of an electric toothbrush or something?
I really did think I was praying over my family. I was praying that we would not have a bomb go off in our home. Nobody knows what we're talking about.
No,
I don't even know.
Do you want me to tell you guys what happened?
I'm afraid to
Okay.
hear this.
I'm afraid.
So it was a Monday morning a week ago, and I sleep really hard on Sunday nights because Sunday's a really, really big day for ministry, for worship leading and stuff. And so, like, I was out, and I was awoken from a dead sleep by a terrible noise. And it sounded
Sounds like a Christmas story.
That's what I was thinking.
And what was a clatter?
Listen, it sounded like someone was sawing through my wall, and there was water, like a waterfall. And I called Justin, I put it on speakerphone, and I said, babe, this is not good. Like, something really, really bad has happened. He's like, I'm just now pulling into the plant. And I'm like, it's really bad. And he goes, okay, I'm pulling away from the plant. and he came home, and for 25 minutes, that's how long it takes him. I prayed, and I called him again. I said, do I need to take the kids for safety? I got the dogs out of our room because I thought that my room was going to blow up and we were all going to die. I was really, really scared. And he came home, and
And what was it, Lindsay? What was it?
he opens the shower door, and he said, babe, looks like my toothbrush fell off the ledge and somehow got turned on. Turned the toothbrush off, and we were saved. My hero.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm a little bit shocked. So, can I speak on behalf of the audience?
Please.
Here's what everybody. Y'all feel free to chime in and tell everybody that you're agreeing with me here.
Yes.
So I learned a lot about you already. So here's the question.
Okay.
You know, there are on this planet, when something happens, there are a million possibilities.
Yes.
You went straight to the house is going to blow up.
I went straight to the Lord in prayer.
Well, that
for
was
my
after,
house.
after your house is going to blow up. I mean, why couldn't it have been that there is a mole who is bore into your house?
Listen, when I was like in
How about, when I was in middle
school, our water
It was
heater
an Al Qaeda
exploded.
mole. It was
okay?
going to blow up, okay?
Our water heater exploded when I was in middle school in the bathroom right next to my room. And so I thought, it's happening again. And there's going to be fire
that's
and
at least more realistic
water
than a bomb
everywhere. I thought it
can
was
see
over.
that.
I almost called my neighbors. I was like, do I need to call?
It was over.
Oh, my
Listen.
word.
I just want to know, why was there like a lack of investigation?
I went in
Because
there.
I feel like Justin got there, and within 5 minutes, he was like, yeah, it's a toothbrush.
That's
It was
another
within
great
like 30
question.
seconds.
Yeah.
But I went in the bathroom
I mean,
and
you're
I
dead
couldn't
anyway.
find the sound.
Why not at least
I
go
walked
see
all
why you're going to
over.
die?
I don't think due diligence was exercised.
No, I'm going to die.
Listen.
That's what's determined.
I have
at least
never
want to see why I'm going to die.
proclaimed to have excellent technical skills. I've never brought.
Technical skills.
Nah.
It's opening the shower. Like,
Well, I
I'm
thought
pretty
the
sure a
shower was
3-year-old
going to
could have
blow me
turned
up.
that off.
So I
doing
did
your
not
hydrophone
open the
work.
shower
The
because I
thing
didn't want
about
to
this
die.
business, guys, is once you have these tools and stuff in place, you can sit in your underwear in your office and have fun and act a fool and make as much as you want, because that's what these tools do.
We are not wearing our underwear, by the way.
Oh, I'm definitely
I'm wearing underwear.
I mean, we're not wearing.
Lindsay,
Hey, you
speak
guys
for
speak
yourself.
Do not.
I decided to
We're
wear
not
it.
wearing just our underwear.
Oh, okay.
That is different.
That's different.
That is a completely different
That's a
statement.
completely different stuff.
Those are different words.
Why? I mean, talking about toothbrushes and then
I'm telling you.
I don't know where she's
What has happened to this program?
She's hijacked it. It used to be a nice Christian show.
Yes, and you know that
Christian-
guy who come up to you and he
Justin,
says,
come
"Hey,
get
can we
Lindsay."
just get through the weird stuff to the business?"
Yeah.
Now we know why.
Now we know what he's talking about. Now we know. You know, it all started with the CBD comment, and
I
ever
just
since
meant we weren't like
then, we.
inappropriate off camera. That's all I meant.
Yes.
Yes. No one's.
Oh, we're definitely inappropriate off the camera too, but that's a whole nother story.
we leave the inappropriateness to when we're on the camera. Any other questions?
Yeah,
The whole thing is, I have not in my heart like.
Listen.
That defensive she's got in my heart.
She's starting to feel guilty.
No, I'm telling you, I thought that toothbrush was going to set my house on fire.
I'm sending a text message to your pastor and asking him,
Yeah.
please do not listen to this episode.
Episode 394.
It was innocent.
It was innocent.
I really did think that my house was going to explode and I need to protect my children and my dogs. And like, I was trying to figure out a plan for safety.
The whole just the worst comment and
Worst comment
ever made, and one that still leaves us all asking, why is there an electric toothbrush in the shower?
Thank you for listening to our show today.
A blog will help you do that. Number 6, a blog will help you tell your story. And I want to tell you, nothing sells better. Nothing you do. There is nothing you can do or say that is going to do better for you than telling your story. Your story has more power and more potential for you to turn a profit, to grow your platform, to be able to widen your footprint, to have more impact, to be able to reach more people in a much more deeper and meaningful way that builds that rapport that you so desperately need and want for your business. Nothing will do that better than telling your story. Everybody's got one. I like what Eric Thomas said one time. He says, I might not have been through what you've been through, but I've been through my go through. And telling people what you've had to go through helps them understand, okay, this is a real person. It encourages them. What is encouraging people? It's literally taking courage and putting it on the inside of them. When I tell my story of how it was just in 2008, I was broke, busted, and disgusted. I was just steps away from being homeless. Our house was being foreclosed on. We were literally days away from get out of the house, a house that we had lived in my whole life. I was raised there, been in my family for years. It was the old family farm. My great-grandparents met at a barn dance on that piece of property. Telling that story and finding myself in a food bank looking for benevolence to feed a family of five children and a wife, actually a family of 7. Telling that story informs people that, hey, I don't know where you're at, but I've had my own thing. I get struggle. And it also lets them understand why I'm so passionate about what I do. Because the very training, the tools, the technology that I use today is how I, just in a short period of just a decade, have gone from the outhouse back to the penthouse. But more than the softwares, the systems, the website.
What's up, Fire Nation? Another bonus episode coming your way. This one was a great chat. I had a lot of fun with Terry Wilson. Terry is a serial entrepreneur who offers entrepreneurs and solopreneurs the tools, training, and technology needed to earn and enjoy more. For the past 13 years, he's helped thousands of hungry individuals discover their thing, develop the skills to do it, and be given a strategy to deliver it to market and produce value. Terry has a weekly podcast that can be heard on iTunes, Stitcher, and at terrywilson3.com. He also wrote a book called You Are Worth More, which you can check out at youareworthmorebook.com. We have a lot of fun in this episode, Fire Nation. I truly hope you enjoy. It's hard. It is hard work to achieve uncommon success. But you know what else is hard, Terry? Being broke.
You better believe that.
Living paycheck to paycheck, not being able to support your loved ones, not being able to support yourself, not being able to get up in the morning and do something that you want to do, but doing something you have to do. That's hard too. So Terry, my call to action for everybody here is choose your hard. Like back in 2012, it was hard. I spent 32 years of my life doing hard work and making the wrong decision on choosing my hard. I was going down the wrong path. I wasn't having any success. But then I flipped it. I said, you know what? Building this business, Entrepreneurs on Fire, it's going to be hard work. But the alternative is hard too. So I choose the hard of building a life of freedom, of building a life of choice, of building a life of uncommon success. And that's my call to action to everybody hearing our voices today. Choose your hard.
Choose your hard. Boy, I love that. Because there's a high cost of low living. And sometimes we think that, we're just going to get out of this easy by taking the path of least resistance. And boy, sometimes the end of that path is just a tiger. I'm telling you, brother,
Identify your big idea. Not be a weak, pale imitation of somebody else's big idea, which most people do. They're like, oh, look at what Terry's doing. He's so successful. Look what John's doing. I'll just copy them. And then you wonder why you fail, because you're a weak, pale imitation of those people and you will never win as a result. You need to come up with your big idea your zone of fire and wake up every day on fire, living that life. That is the life that you deserve. Because what at the end of the day do we really want? Freedom. The ability to wake up and do what we want, where we want to do it, with whom we want to do it with. If you have those three things, what more is there in life? And you can give yourself that gift. Just take it.
Which is identifying why are you here? You know, I like to say it this way. You're not a cosmic accident. You didn't show up on planet Earth because lightning struck a mud puddle billions of years later and you crawled out. You're a significant person with a significant reason for being here. There's a reason for you to be here. And once you identify that big idea, as John just said it, life becomes, oh my gosh, becomes unimaginable. Give us go ahead.
Just on that point real quick. I mean, I think it's so key for people to understand this, like what Terry is just sharing. There is so much wisdom out there in this world, but there's also so much noise and it's chaotic. And sometimes it's so hard to really cut through all of this and to really get to the meat and potatoes, to really get down to what matters.
Does anyone know Terry's story, what Terry did?
I do.
So Terry sold musical instruments, sold pianos, right? And what was it? Was it 9/11 that created the problem?
Yeah.
9/11 creates a problem. Nobody wants to go. There's no money in town anymore. It's a brick and mortar store. Some woman comes up to him in church, some older woman, and she's like, I was thinking about your problem, and the Lord told me you should sell them on the computer. Sell your pianos on the computer. And Terry's like, that's a great idea. I got to get out of here because you're crazy. So, of course, he does it in that sweet way where he says, oh, bless your heart. And
Bless your
he
heart.
thinks about it. And then he's like, you know, he told me about the story about, you know, the guy, it's a flood and, you know, you should get out. No, the Lord's going to save me. And at the end, he goes to God and says, why didn't you save me? He's like, I did. You know, I tried. I sent you the news report. I sent you a helicopter. You know. So Terry takes that and he's like, God's telling me what to do here, right? So I should do. That was the message. I should sell these things online. His first thought when the woman tells him that is, how am I gonna, because she said her grandson sold CDs.
On eBay.
Yeah, Terry's like, how am I, you could just I can't put a stamp on a piano. This is crazy.
Drop it in the mailbox.
Yeah, so next day, right? The next day he starts sells them out in a week. So he doesn't think about, he doesn't latch on to his idea of I can't ship these things cheaply, right? He just goes past that. He goes, well, what's my first solution? My first solution is I got to sell these things. That's all he's thinking about. He sells out his whole inventory in a week. Then the problem comes to him. How do I get rid of these things? I've now sold them. How do I deliver them? So what would you guys have done?
Hire a U-Haul and drive them out there.
Yeah, that's what Terry did. Terry got a truck and just was like, well, I'm gonna take my brother-in-law. We're gonna go around the country. We're going everywhere. And he delivered pianos for 2 weeks. That's amazing. And then, you know, and then he's like, oh, and the next thing is I talk to someone and as he goes and he talks to the manufacturer and he's like, so, you know, where are these things? You know, if I want to get them, how do I sell them? And he doesn't go into the conversation with the idea of, I'm going to figure out how to make this more efficient for myself. Or maybe he does to a degree, but he doesn't make that his outward appearance. He's not desperate. He's desperate, but he doesn't portray desperation. He portrays, as he's talking to the person, he's asking them questions about their business, and they give him the keys to the kingdom. They tell him the whole layout. They tell him exactly how to run his business. Now, in Watergate, did you ever hear, like in the first week after Watergate, Woodward and Bernstein spoke to a Spanish guy down in Mexico, and the joke was, he told us exactly what happened, but we don't speak Spanish, so we lost the story. It turns out that was true. They got the whole thing in the first week, but didn't understand it. Terry got the whole thing in the first week and put it together. He hears, you have warehouses all over the country, so why don't I sell them and then you guys will just deliver them locally? He gets that in an instant. He doesn't think about the problem. He doesn't think they're not going to do it, any of this stuff. When I hear about Terry selling them and he just gets in a truck, my first thought with that is, I know.
Welcome to TerryWilson3.com.
Over one decade of helping others
Discover, develop, and monetize your skills and talents
At TerryWilson3.com.
This is the Terry Wilson. Really? I'm excited, Terry. I want to get started.
Here's your host, Terry Wilson.
I think I'm still going to have to do that again. I don't like it.
The intro.
Yeah.
I was actually going to make a joke saying this intro sucks. But I'm glad you said it first. So.
I still don't like it.
I'm telling you, the direction that you need is some fusion jazz.
I don't even know what that is.
I'll send you some samples.
Okay.
I'll find you something. You'll be like, yeah, that's the feel we should be going.
That's where we should be. Hey guys, tonight we're talking about anytime now is the best time. And boys, we've got some top shelf athletic trainers and fitness coaches in the house tonight. The proprietors and entrepreneurs and franchise owners of our local Anytime Fitness is in the house. And did you know this about Bert? That he has qualified for the Boston Marathon like 5 or 6 times and has gone.
That makes me feel so much better, actually.
Why? Because you've had to run right beside him.
Because in high school, I used to run a lot more. I'm a little heavier now, so it's like, obviously, I'm not competing with Bert. But when I was in shape and I was running, 6:30 miles, 7-minute miles, I would get beside him or get behind him, and he would just crush me. And it would make me feel so bad. I'm like, I am training my ass off, and I still cannot compete with this guy. And he's like 20 years older than me.
He's 20-year-old senior to me.
Yeah, but knowing that he runs like marathons and stuff, that's what he does.
And River, do you know when he started running the marathon? Mm-mm. What compelled him or not? I don't know if it compelled him or not, but it was just interesting to me. I was talking to Rose today while I was on the treadmill. The year after the Boston bombing,
Mm-hmm.
he said, okay, I'm doing the Boston Marathon.
Really?
Started training and has qualified for it and has been doing it. He's done it 5 or 6 times.
That's awesome.
And they do Disney and they're doing all these other things. So we're going to have them on tonight. And I've talked to you guys about this. It is amazing to me the parallel between a business mindset and an athletic mindset. I just never, and everybody in the listening audience is like, well, duh. But for me, it's just like, I cannot believe how similar all of this is,
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to get into detail about what we were talking about before, but, encapsulating it, I had a debate this weekend. And one of the points of my friend was that, certain athletes of this particular sport, if you want to call it that, have this elite mindset, like this just unbelievable mindset that other athletes can comprehend. And my argument for that was, one, that's very anecdotal. You can't measure a mindset. I was like,
that's true.
I mean, you're telling me Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they're literally called sociopaths by all their people that would work out with them. Because I'm not even talking about games where anybody can kind of play the game, but you look at their workouts where they're like every day, 4 a.m. they're up.
Well, that's an interesting conversation. We might need to have a clinical psychologist on sometime talking about where's the line between this hyper-focused energy and
unhealthy obsession,
OCD. Because there is. These guys, you look at anyone that excels at those type of levels, they just go into hyperdrive. There's another gear.
I think the way they think of it, and this is where it's like you could pull it into business, obviously, is like they don't see losing they don't see losing as an option.
It's not even on the table.
Yeah, so they're going to do everything that they could humanly do to get to that next level. And I think if people, took some of that for the business, which I'm sure a lot of guys do.
Well, I don't think, I guess for my own mindset, because I was talking to our buddy Neil O'Reilly up there, our assistant DA, a former ADA in New York, and he was talking about, Terry got hyper-focused on, not in a sociopathic way, like there's going to be damage and I don't care, but
right.
And I think that's, he sort of, in his funny ways, to me, sort of drew the line of demarcation. I don't think it's healthy to do at all costs at whether it hurts someone or not. But barring it's not hurting you or other people, it's not hurting your family. And in other words, is the obsession, is the hyper focus, is it hurting your loved ones because you're neglecting them,
right?
Or you're hurting the market or whatever? To that point, I think that's the line.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know.
I'm sure for everybody it's different. I'm sure
it
for
is.
Multiple billionaires, they're like, well,
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that's my moral compass. That's
for you.
my ethos, if you will, because I just think. But I think the point is, it takes another gear.
I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about business owners either. And that's what can be kind of intimidating for people that don't own a business. I just remember for me, the amount of work and stuff you put into this to get it started.
Yeah.
I remember I would go into Chick-fil-A at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning because I was an opener. I would say goodnight to everybody at 7 p.m. My dad would be working on the couch. I'd come back. He was still working, doing the exact same thing. I'd come back after work at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. He was still working. So, maybe your sport wasn't basketball and you weren't in the gym 4 times a day, but this was your business and you're putting the level of obsession into it that
to me
kind of takes.
Yeah, and that's why I had a hard time because Neil was trying to compliment, what we had accomplished here.
Sure.
And I include you guys because you're part of the family. And there's sometimes there were games or there was something we weren't able to do because Dad was doing, so everybody's got skin in this.
Sure.
But I can't accept a compliment in this one regard. To me, it wasn't a metaphorical thing. They tell you to accomplish anything great, you got to find leverage. For some people, like our buddy Cliff, when he got into fitness, he was, upwards of 300 pounds and his health. And it was sort of like your health. If you don't do something, things are going to go off the rails for you. So that he found his leverage, I didn't have to make up any leverage because there's no safety net out there for an entrepreneur. We were, it was sink or swim, do or die, 5 kids, somebody, you got to eat. And I don't come from money. So that was my leverage. And I think we've talked about that before. You've got to figure out a way to make that leverage healthy for you. Some people get crushed under it. They freeze almost like a deer in the headlight because they get overwhelmed emotionally. And
I think that's what it could potentially be upsetting for some people when you tell them like maybe entrepreneurship isn't for you. But realistically, like that's a lot of times what it comes down to is like, can you handle the fact that there's nobody, holding your hand or
do you have the mindset?
Yeah.
It is a mindset. And that's not a judgment. I think when people hear that, they hear that we are all of a sudden classifying.
I don't think it makes anybody less than or anything else. I mean, I don't have the mindset to be an ultra marathon runner.
Well, it could be that my brain is broken. Maybe I'm just broken.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe I've always joked that, why are we able to do this? Because I'm too dumb to quit, It's just a smarter guy earlier on would have said, this ain't working. Let's get, but you just got to be, we push past the crazy and go on. So anyway, said all that to say, it's going to be a great show tonight with them. I look forward to introducing them to the audience and getting them on the show tonight so that you guys can glean some mindset, some business set, and you're going to get some health lessons as well. What turned me on to them guys is what I've said to all of our members here and people that are in the listening audience. Every single person out there, everybody has a story. Everybody's been touched by life. Everyone has had ups and downs. And I love hearing the stories of how other people faced their giant, their whatever was causing them pain and figured out a way around it. And that path is different for everyone. Sometimes, you're supposed to go above it. Sometimes you got to sit there and fight it. Sometimes you back down and wait till the enemy's asleep and then you attack. I mean, the strategies are going to be different, based on the person. So I look forward to introducing them to our audience tonight. You guys getting to know them. I know you guys already know them because you go to the same gym, and I can't speak highly enough of what they've been able to help me accomplish just in my personal life. I feel better than I've ever felt in my life. I'm at my lowest weight since you were born, and the mental clarity. It's amazing.
Being healthy helps a lot of aspects of life.
Golly. Yeah. I mean, there's a famous broadcaster that just passed away. I'm not trying to get in politics, but he had a famous cliche, a catchphrase. He says, with half my brain tied behind my back. And he was, of course, I'm behind the golden TW3 microphone. He was behind another microphone. And after all of this, I feel like half my brain's been tied behind my back for over a decade. I was like, hey, I'm starting to get some clarity here that I never had before.
Yeah.
You know, I could become just
There's a lot of psychology behind confidence too. Just feeling better about yourself. People really underestimate that, but it can change your whole day, your week, your month, or your years. I mean,
confidence is a major, major key. And I'm glad you brought that up, and you don't even know this, but the training that we're going to do next week is how I'm going to do a training. And in 10 minutes, this is what the training is going to be. In 10 minutes, I'm going to be able to show anybody at any level how to gain the confidence they need to accomplish any goal they want. In 10 minutes, give me 10 minutes, and I will give you the exact confidence you need, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you want to do, I'm going to show you how to get the confidence to do it. And
I want to dunk.
Well, that's you don't need confidence. You need
I need a little bit more.
You need anything else? What do you guys got?
All right, so we're not going to be doing live questions tonight to make room for some of that training. However, we normally have a ton of members that are awesome enough to sort of help us out. So if you have questions, go ahead and send those in. A lot of them will answer it live. If you're watching this recording after the live stream, you're still feel free to go ahead and send those questions. We typically check back through the week on the video, and hopefully we'll answer those for you.
We are getting ready for the 4th annual You're Worth More conference. Start making plans to be there in the 2nd week of September of this year in Greenville, South Carolina.
Cool. Will they get to see you, River, if they come?
They will.
All right. And River is doing something special. Are you getting queued up for that coming in April?
I am.
Getting excited?
Excited.
Wait, he's doing something?
He's doing something.
What's he doing?
Well, coming up, March, April, he's going to be offering our members technical training.
Oh, yes.
In the back office. So,
I cannot wait.
So he's going to be doing that. So we're looking forward to that.
Sucker.
River's got to work. No, I'm kidding. Hey, I want to ask you guys something before we get into our next segment. We got 2 trainings, by the way, tonight. We're going to do, we got the interview coming up in segment 3 and 4 with Bert and Rose. I keep wanting to say Bert and Ernie just because of my days and watching. And I'm sure they get that all the time. But I have to consciously catch myself.
Rose and Bert.
Rose, I'm going to say Rose and Bert because if I say Bert first, I always want to go to just because of my childhood watching Sesame Street. But before we do that, in segment 2, I want to talk about someone that discovered greatness through showing up late.
Showing up late?
They showed up late. And had they been on time, River, had they been on time, you would have never known this person.
Is it Seth MacFarlane?
Nope.
Oh.
But the fact that you guys get to operate the way you do in your life today is because this person was tardy.
Well, let's hear it.
Well, you got to stick around for segment 2.
Yeah.
But that gave me an interesting thought before we got into it and before we segue. Pastor Terry had a great message this past Sunday at church, and he was talking about these little idiosyncrasies, these little, not faux pas, but idiosyncratic things that just pester us. I guess you'd call it a pet peeve.
Oh, yeah.
These little things that just tick us off. Those are the things in life that it's like going to God's gym to work out yourself to be a better emotionally stable spirit, in the context of spiritual. It's like life's gym, developing patience, developing kindness, and so I had to work on some of my things at lunch today, going through. So I was just going to, just as an interesting conversation piece before we segued into segment 2 here, what are some things that, what's your pet peeve?
Oh, I wish you would have given me more time for this, but I can just pick the one that comes closest.
Yeah, well, I didn't give you time because I wanted the honest answer.
I don't like hearing people eat. There's a certain way to eat, and I know this sounds so silly because it's like I feel bad for them because it's like, oh, I have these thoughts in my head and I'm thinking poorly of them, and they don't necessarily deserve it because some people literally are just eating. They're not doing anything wrong. They just
They're not.
I'm not even talking about people that are like obviously being. I'm not even talking about that. Just some people eat in a certain way, and it actually bothers me. But like when I say bother, like I get angry. Like I'm like, just like I'm stewing and just frustrated, and I don't know why.
Is it the audio of it, or is it the?
It's the audio. It's a little bit. It's mostly audio. No,
it's
audio.
like graphic, so it kind of ruins your food. Kind of ruins your experience.
Yeah, and it's just like. And like I said, sometimes it's not even like this over exaggerated smacking of gums or anything like sometimes there are certain people. This is my biggest one is when they swallow, they breathe as well. They'll be like,
you are so weird.
No, they'll like do that little, and I'm just like,
God forbid they enjoy their food.
No, it's I don't know. I hope I don't come across like that when I eat. I'm sure there's other things I do though that are annoying.
So, but it's the audio.
Yeah, it's definitely audio.
What's your pet peeve? What do you have to work on? You have to mentally catch yourself from sort of losing it.
I mean, I get angry sometimes, but I really don't get upset.
You're asking the most like
laid back, chilled person.
There goes. I don't care.
I mean, I guess if people are like judgmental about other people, like, oh, look here, like if people point out like, hey, look at that girl's hair, or, whatever. I just don't like when people are
being judgmental because you empathize with being judged, maybe.
Right. So I don't know if it makes me upset necessarily. It's more of just like, come on, you could be better. Like,
yeah, I like that.
This is also a good. I'll make this one quick because I know we're trying to segue. The left lane is made for passing.
Yes.
Well, that's a universal.
I understand. It should be. I think it's the law. Like there's signs that'll say left lane for passing.
Slower traffic, keep right.
The amount of times I've driven to Atlanta and just people don't understand that's infuriating. It is like just like a mile of traffic because you got one person up front that's just like, nah, I'm just gonna drive beside this car. Like,
or those people, if the interstate's only 2 lanes, you got 2 big trucks only going 50 and 51 miles an hour. That's a big pet peeve.
See, I have a little bit of empathy for the truck drivers because it's like they even know that they're having to pass, and it's like they have to do it at this speed because they can't go faster because there's little like.
Well, they're governed.
Yeah, they're governed by how quickly they're going, so they can literally only pass at like 1 or 2 miles an hour. It still frustrates me, but it's more of like. I could take this in a direct direction, but there's a certain type of person that's always behind the wheel of the people.
Well, the point of this whole exercise was, number one, when those things occur, that is an opportunity to breathe. And what I have done and trying to do,
I'm breathing.
Well, is really self-reflect. Why is this bothering me?
Because it's taking time from my day that it doesn't have to.
And then address, because you can't control life. You can't control that person that's in that left lane. You can't control.
I think that's why I'm frustrated.
That person that's judging other people. You can't control that person that is just taking their precious time in the drive-through and making you late, and because you got this impetus to be on time and be punctual and all this other stuff. So you have to self-examine and say, why is this bothering me, and address that, because that's the only thing you can control. And that's the beautiful thing about the message yesterday was you can reframe those things to make it actually a help to you rather than just one more thing in that day that just pissed you off. That's the whole point. Why not take, because if it's going to happen anyway, and there's nothing you can do about it, why not reframe it to where it's actually an asset to you rather than just one more thing to just tick you off. And so tonight, we're talking about a guy that probably you guys know what my pet peeve is. I am a time. Do what? What'd you say?
Go ahead. I didn't say anything yet.
What did he say?
I didn't say anything yet. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a time Nazi.
Sure.
I mean, I just, and that's probably from my grandfather. And what made this story that we're about to get into so meaningful to me is literally the life we're enjoying right now. The things we get to use like this would not be what they are if it wasn't for this guy showing up late. So if he had a dad that was just always beating him up and making him feel like he never could do because he's late occasionally, then you and I wouldn't have our phone today. So I love this story. So stick to it right after this.
Earn
Runners are learners and leaders are readers. So if you want to go to the next level, you do have to grow to the next level. And that's why I offer free audiobooks at terrywilson3.com/free book. That's terrywilson3.com/free book. When you go over there, you're going to get to try the service out for 30 days free. No obligation. And you get a free audiobook just for checking it out at terrywilson3.com/free book. If you had to properly follow up with every single lead you had, how long would it take you? How effective would you be? And can you do it on their time frame that's right for them? The power of the CRM Max by TW3 is it allows you to put all of your sales process on automation. That way, when you're asleep, when you're in bed, your system is working for you. It's following up. It's responding as they respond. It's being triggered based on their activity. It's sending them the sales information they're needing. It's following up with the information after it's sent out. It's sending it in email and text format, and it even can do, in some instances, voice broadcast as well. That is the power of the CRM Max at TW3, and that is why our members, one person, can generate business that it usually takes an agency to do, because we have the tools, the training, the technology, and more importantly, the know-how on how to do it.
You're listening to TerryWilson3.com.
Inspiring, informative, and entertaining content for the entrepreneur and small business owner.
And now back to our show with Terry Wilson.
All right, now we have a training on how tardiness turned into greatness. River, this is looking good for you.
I'm saying.
You know, they say in business, the first thing that you have to do, the first lesson when it comes to influencing people and building rapport with people and getting people on your side, is you have to develop a sense of trust immediately. And I think when you're meeting with people for the first time, the first thing you can do to build trust is be punctual, be on time, be prepared. This story here sort of entertained me, because what you're about to hear is how one person's tardiness led to greatness. And let me explain how. There was a math student by the name of George Danzig, and he, like all the other college students at the time, was trying to get acclimated to school, trying to get acclimated to this new life, this new college life, trying to manage the distractions of college with the imperative to get your studies done, and found himself one time late for his math class. And as he got in very late, he scrambled to write down everything he saw on the board, because he was seeing that the professor had laid out some calculus and some equations and problems that needed to be solved. So he rapidly got everything wrote down, because he knew testing would be coming up and it was crucial for him to know all of this material. So he rapidly wrote everything down. He went back after class, and that weekend spent the whole weekend solving the problems that he had wrote down on the paper. And then that Monday, coming to class, he turns in his paperwork. Well, days had passed, and then weeks had passed, and he never got feedback on his studies. Until one day, his professor said, "We need to talk to you about what you turned in." And not knowing and unaware of what had happened, his worst fears and his worst thoughts started racing. What did they think? I cheated? Did they think I did something? I was just late, but I tried to do everything correctly. And so his mind was wandering, especially when the math professor said, "But we can't speak here. We need to speak at the dean's office." So they set up a time calling him in, wanting to talk to him about the work that he turned in. And what was even more surprising is when he got to that meeting, he noticed that not only was it his professor, not only was it other professors of the different math and sciences there, but there were also engineers from different companies that were there in the room. And he really got worried. What in the world has happened? And what George didn't know, because he was late, was when the math professor wrote this problem on the board, he wasn't there to hear that this problem here has never been solved. And if someone could solve it, they would be able to uncrack the code for linear programming, which new technology demands in order for things to work the way they need and for new technologies to be developed in the way that a lot of people envision they could work. What he developed that day and what he just solved and what he literally invented is what is now referred to as the simplex algorithm. The simple algorithm. Why is it so important? I'm sure you use Amazon Prime. I'm sure you've gotten something off of FedEx. I'm sure UPS has come to your door. I'm sure you have a cell phone. All of those moving parts to get that data, to get that package, to get that bit of information managed with everything else coming in at one time so it can prioritize what goes out first and gets to you in a reasonable amount of time is there in your phone today because a guy named George Danzig was late for math class. But more importantly, what he was late for was someone saying it can't be done. No one has solved it. See, George didn't know. He didn't go in with a prerequisite. He was an average student. There was a lot of students in there that had tested higher on IQ. There was a lot of students there with a greater pedigree. There are many, many other students that had seen that exact same thing before, could have solved it, but because some professor, some teacher, somebody, not willingly discouraging, but setting the expectations that it's hard and you probably can't do it. Well, no one tried. George, not knowing any better and thinking, this is my assignment that I have to get turned in the coming Monday, worked all weekend on it. Yes, it was hard. Yes, it was frustrating. Yes, he lost sleep. But yes, you and I have cell phones, satellites, on-demand ordering processes on our phones because a guy named George was too late to hear you can't do it. Who has told you no? What unrealized dreams, what greater goals, what new businesses, what new relationships, what new things could you solve today? What could you have right now had you never heard someone tell you you can't? I'm convinced the only thing that's stopping myself and anyone else from achieving their highest imperative, the reason they were created, is simply because of the way they think. The good book is right. As a man thinks, so is he. What do you think about yourself? What do you think you can do? I want to give you 3 lessons I take from this story that I'm going to start applying today. The next time I hear someone tell me no, I'm only going to hear they're saying they can't do it. They're not talking to me. They don't know what I can do. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has it ever entered into the heart of man what I can do with what's been given to me. Number 2, I'm going to examine my friend filters. What I mean by that is I want to be friendly. I want to be accommodating. I want to be caring to everyone. But who's in the inner circle? Who is allowed to speak life into me? Whose voices do I actually listen to? It's only people that are going somewhere. So before you allow anyone's opinion, whether it be a family, friend, or foe, enter into your mind, ask them this question and ask yourself this question of them. Are they going anywhere? Why would we listen to anyone that's not going anywhere? Why would I listen to a poor guy's advice on money? Why would I listen to a fat guy's advice on dieting? Why would I listen to a miserable person's advice on friendship? I'm telling you, if you have a friend, and a friend to me is that person that's on the inner circle. I'm not talking about acquaintances. I'm not talking about people that I'm friendly with. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. A true friend speaks truth in love. So that means the content's always truthful, but the context is always loving. And I want friends that are going somewhere. You deserve friends that are going somewhere. There's an old saying that says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I'm not saying be a snob. I'm not advocating being unapproachable. All I'm saying is, who are you allowing to speak in your ear? The third takeaway I'm getting from this story is you can't find meaning in the land of mediocrity. You see, George showed up late for all the mediocre advice that was being given. This is hard. You probably won't do it. You probably can't do it. No one else has been able to do it. I just want to put this on the board to see if anybody wants to take a stab at it. George didn't hear that mediocre advice. George was late for it by good fortune. And all I'm telling you is you can't find meaning in mediocrity. If your environment is, well, things are only this, you can only ever be this, don't ever expect this, you will never find the greater meaning that is meant for you. You will never find that higher imperative that you're to go to. You will never find the greatest expression of who you were created to be. I am convinced that you and I can do exceeding abundantly above anything we could ever think, dream, or imagine if we'll allow that which was given to us and put on the inside of us come out and clear a path and make a way for our greatest days ahead.
And now back to our show with Terry Wilson.
All right, thank you, Bobby B. This is Terry, and that was a wonderful training, wasn't it? So we've got some great people in the studio with me tonight. I don't know if you guys know these folks, but they own Don Ray's over in Boiling Springs, and I always tell them when I come in, I was like, you know, you guys need to start paying my gym membership because you're responsible for about 100 pounds of me now. So if they start paying my gym membership, go ahead and accept it because they are on the hook for it.
We're on the opposite side of that. They put it on, we take it off.
That's well, it's a privilege to have Bert and Rose in the studio tonight, and I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, but give me your last name so that the
Saucier. Yeah, Saucier.
Saucier.
Yeah.
And is that French?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I guess that has to do with where you're from.
Yeah, it's Louisiana.
Louisiana. What part of Louisiana?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Mm-hmm. Now, were you guys there during the Katrina thing and all?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So at that point, we met at LSU in Baton Rouge. So we were out of New Orleans at that point. Still had family in Louisiana or in New Orleans, and I was a firefighter at that time. She was in real estate, so it was an eventful time, no doubt.
Wow.
No doubt.
Wow. So y'all met in college at LSU?
That's right. Yeah.
All right. And what did you major in?
Psychology.
Maybe you can help me out later. I'll get on the sofa over there and just put my feet up, and you can tell me. You know, I'm sure it had something to do with my childhood, but. Isn't that what Freud says? It's all back to that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And what did you major in?
Psychology.
A psych major as well. 2 psych majors in here with Terry Wilson. Guys, what am I in for
There's
tonight?
a reason for that.
So anyway, well, I wanted to have you guys in tonight because number one, got to know you more as I'm going to the gym, and you guys endure my corny jokes. So thank you for that. You never make me feel like as corny as I am. It's like you smile. It's like, okay, thank you. Now go on.
It's a highlight of the day.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sure. Oh Lord, here comes Wilson. Let's see what. My running joke with him is the treadmill is broke because I've been on it for an hour and I'm still, this. So can y'all work on that? So And I told Beth yesterday, I said, this thing is out of shape, this treadmill, because look how sweaty it's made me. I mean, it's just got water all over me. Well, who's going to clean me off?
It's like I told you, the more you abuse it, the better shape you get, the worse shape it gets.
Yeah, well, so far it's winning, but I'm determined not to quit. So you met at LSU there in New Orleans, and you were in real estate, and you were in firefighting.
Yeah.
Now, before firefighting, weren't you in a corporate job?
Yeah.
Somewhere?
Yeah. I worked for Ticketmaster.
Okay.
For 14 years.
14 years at Ticketmaster, a corporate job, probably with benefits and a decent salary.
Yeah.
What made you want to leave that corporate gig for something more risky?
Yeah. So that move going from the corporate world to firefighting is kind of what got us here. We really uncomfortable with leaving a job that I didn't like. I was there for 14 years, but after probably 5 or 6 of them, I started to hate what I was doing. But as income went up, bills went up, lifestyle went up, you kind of get used to a certain lifestyle, and I didn't want to give it up. And my mom always raised me, don't give up a job, keep your job. That's the most important thing in life is your job. And so a lot of reasons why I stuck with a job that I didn't like anymore. But I got to a point where I had enough. I couldn't take it anymore. Sunday nights were, sort of made me ill thinking about having to go back to work on Monday morning. Yeah, you really lived for the weekends. You hated what you did Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday were your only days of pleasure. After 14 years, I just decided to move away from that, even if it meant taking a big cut in pay and giving up a little bit of lifestyle. So and that was, I took more than a 50% cut in pay to go do a firefighting job, but at least I enjoyed what I was doing. It was more in line with who I am.
Right.
So I kind of got past the money point at that side and knew that quality of life and happiness were more important.
And the values started to shift.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And, there's no guaranteed gig in real estate.
No.
Real estate is complete and total, sink or swim, do or die, produce or go home.
And it was a crazy time after Katrina in real estate.
Now, did you start off in real estate or?
So I was an accounting manager and I worked in audit for 6 years. So I was in the corporate world as well. And then very stressful, a lot of hours. This was before we had kids, and left that job and went into real estate just for the more flexible schedule and to be your own boss, basically.
Yeah. So the freedom that it provided was worth the risk.
Right. It was something I enjoyed. Working with the people.
And how many children?
We have 2 girls.
2 girls. Wow. Yeah, I tell you, when you have children, your perspective on life and what's important and everything sort of shifts, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think when we were young, me and Gina, money was so important. We want to make this, want to do this, want to go here, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as kids came along, time and freedom and quality of life and the level of stress that you have to work within, all of those things the value of that starts rising, and the money is important still, but everything else seems to get more and more important.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're firefighting, you're real estate, you're in this business, you're down in Louisiana. How in the world did 2 Cajuns, raging Cajuns, you're not Cajun, are you?
Neither one of us.
Yeah. No. It's just, I guess.
Everybody from Louisiana.
Everybody from, no, you're from Louisiana, you're Cajun.
Well, we get that all the time. People ask, why don't we talk like the Duck Dynasty group? But we're like, not everybody's Cajun.
I grew up, before Duck Dynasty, there was a guy named Justin Wilson. You guys remember?
Yeah.
I guarantee. I keep waiting for you guys to say a little bit of the wine right there.
Yeah, and I don't even think he was from Louisiana.
Really?
He's from New Jersey, I believe.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
You are ruining a child. I did not know that. Right. Justin Wilson is not?
Yeah.
Wow. Boy, I tell you what.
It's all right. It's still
my
good.
whole, now I've got to go back and re-examine my whole childhood. What's real and what's not anymore.
You're going to have to fact check that.
I'm going to have to fact check that. Yeah. Wow. Justin Wilson is not, he's from New Jersey. God. Wow. Well, you're down there. How did you come about coming to South Carolina?
Yeah. Well, with both of our jobs, her doing real estate and me at the fire department, we didn't make a lot of money. At least I didn't. But I had a lot of time. I had 24-hour on and then 24-hour off. So my days off, I had a lot of time to focus on a second job or what we're going to do in the future. She was sort of all over the place with real estate. It's not so much a 9-to-5 job. It's just whenever it happens, it happens. But we always seemed to have a lot of time together, which made it really good when we first had our first daughter. There was a lot of family time, a lot of quality time with that. But I always knew that if I was going to stay in the fire service, that I needed a second income. It just, the fire department doesn't make a lot.
Sure.
So there were two things that we enjoyed immensely and talked about. If we ever started our own business, we would either do a fitness center or a coffee shop, because that's predominantly where we spent our free time.
That's who's getting your money.
But yeah.
In time,
So while we were in Baton Rouge, we were members of a gym that we had been there for a long time, for probably 14, 15 years. But we had moved out to the suburbs and were still commuting back and forth to that gym. And then a franchise popped up about a mile from the house. It was an Anytime Fitness, and that's sort of what started that move. As we joined that club as well, kept 2 memberships going, one that we sort of felt loyal to and knew everyone there, sort of a big family. Continued to use that one when it was convenient, but then would go to the local smaller club, when we were in a rush, when time wasn't as, just when we weren't, as free with time. So, and after we joined that club, we started thinking more and more of doing our own fitness center on the side. So we kind of saw a model that we had liked that fit our lifestyle at the time, and we thought, well, why can't we do this? We'll keep our realtor job, keep our fire department job, and we'll do this on the side. And so that's kind of where it started. Started doing a lot of research. I had a ton of time at the fire department when you're not busy cleaning, training, running calls. You just, some guys sit there, watch TV. I would sit there and do research. So we just decided that we wanted to do our fitness center as a second source of income, and bought into a franchise, but then immediately had issues finding where to put it. Every place around us that we felt comfortable with already had clubs all over the place. So we just started looking elsewhere, and it just, that search just kept getting wider and wider and wider. And we looked at outside of the city, outside of the state, just kind of kept moving, to different places. And it sort of became apparent that we were probably going to have somebody else run this for us. And this was just going to be an investment. And we would keep our day jobs, so to speak, and let somebody else run this. And that's all it would be, was an investment. But never really felt comfortable with a location and having someone else run that business for us. So we just kept on working at it, and found, some areas in the western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina area. I've got family that lives nearby, so we fairly familiar with this area. So we settled in on a location, and initially it was still going to be to have somebody run it for us, and this is just going to be just a second, source of income. But the more we looked at it, we felt really good about stepping away from our jobs and doing this ourselves, because a lot about Louisiana we liked. The weather was not one of them. It's for me hot, miserable, flat. We enjoyed outdoors. We used to come up here to go backpacking and camping. Love the weather here. So there's a lot of reasons why we decided to just sort of step away from our jobs and come and push all the chips
Sort of all in, yeah.
All in. So, we both quit our jobs. We had 2 infants, and just all at once. So sink or swim.
I love that. Well, you definitely had a why. Your why was big enough because you got a family to support with 2 small children, and you had leverage, which means sink or swim, do or die. There was no safety net, so you definitely had some leverage there to make things happen. Yeah. Now, did I hear correctly? You bought the franchise before you had the location?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you buy the franchise, and then does the franchise include the real estate, or is that something
separate?
That's separate.
Yeah, you're just buying into a business name, a model. Everything else is on you. The location, whether you buy or rent, the negotiations, the equipment. I mean, everything is on you. You're just sort of getting a name and a model. That's it.
Name and a model. Do they give you a back office or anything like that? As far as Not
really.
Wow.
So, but it gave us some peace of mind because neither one of us had ever done our own business before.
Well, you got a roadmap. I mean, that's very invaluable to me. To me, that's the value of a franchise. It's not the inventory and everything else. It's that roadmap of
right. Yeah, because we had talked about just doing our own mom and pop, but not having any experience in running a business. It just wasn't sure what we were doing. And so there was some comfort in following somebody else's advice.
You do have a support system with other owners though, because we were able to talk to some Anytime Fitness owners just to ask advice how to get started. So there is some support on that end.
Sure.
So TW3 family, listen to that. I mean, this is the value of a franchise model, is having a roadmap, having a network of other people that you can bounce ideas off of. I mean, that is invaluable. You're not out there, you're in business for yourself, but you're not by yourself. You've got some people to pull on. And so you come up, you find a location, the community buys in. I think you guys have got a great reputation here in the community. Everybody loves.
I hope so.
No, I listen. I never hear anything but just rave reviews, and everybody loves you guys and the vibe of the gym and everything. And I've loved it. I've been a member way longer than I've used the membership, but I've always told people it's sort of like I'm like tithing toward health. I have no works with my faith. I just have the gift. I finally I started reading the book of James, and it says faith without works is dead. And I'm like, well, I might want to ride that treadmill a couple times. But anyway, so you get up here, and then there's 2 business models you're attracted to, or 2 business types. The gym and the coffee shop. Rose, tell me about starting the coffee.
So that was a little side venture. We had said, well, maybe one day we'll open a coffee shop, do smoothies, coffee, things like that. And the location came open on Highway 9 that we thought would be perfect. Cute little house. It was a car dealership. So once again, took another leap, and we called it the Coffee Mill. And we were in business about a year. Didn't get quite the support we needed. Decided let's just focus strictly on the gym and not be sidetracked with this business.
So the coffee model or the business wasn't a franchise. It was just a straight up. You guys out there just dabbling in a space to see if there was anything there.
Right, and we try to do quality things. Like. Good quality coffee, teas, pastries. We did smoothies. We'd have a lot of gym members that would get the smoothies and come down, but it just didn't take off like it needed to.
Sure. Well, I tell you, your gym is just absolutely wonderful, and it's got a great business, and you guys are just incredible hosts. It's almost, it feels like a family. It feels like a home over there. It's like home away from home. You just go over there, and I feel like it's Cheers over there. I'm Norm that walks in. You got all your characters and their personalities. It's just fun. It's just a fun place to be. And if you are in the upstate and around Spartanburg County, you could not find a better place to invest in your own health. I started seriously doing this back in October, and I am by no means, any expert in that space at all, but I can tell you just a little bit, and staying, focused has really paid off dividends for me. I feel better than I've ever felt in my life. Can either one of you speak to the importance of why you should be, if you are an entrepreneur? I can speak to my own personal experience, but let me ask you this. I understand why people try to start a business and then quit real quick. I get that. And I can see the characteristics, and I can see the mindset shifts that have to change if you're going to be successful in business. But give me some mindset advice that you would give that new person, because I'm just going to tell you, any of you guys out there that are self-employed, that are entrepreneur, that you sort of make it or break it, you got to do, then you got to have mental clarity, you got to have energy, you got to have focus. And I'm telling you, my fitness has given me all of that, and I'm just excited about what more it would give me. But speak to that person that is an entrepreneur out there. Maybe they're a middle-aged guy like myself, they're professional, but fitness has never been the priority, but they're in a time in their life, they're in an age bracket in their life. There's like, okay, I'm either going to invest in medicines and this, or I'm going to invest in health and sweat. So what can you tell them to keep them motivated and active and going into this thing with the greatest chance of success? What advice would you give that person?
For business or for fitness?
For fitness. I'm telling the business guy, you need to be fit, but
well, I think people that are generally successful in business are some of the fitter people. I think it bleeds over into other aspects of life. On the fitness side, I mean, I'll just give you an example. I was speaking to one of our members yesterday. She's 69, was going to a high school reunion in the last year or so, and I mean, she's in fantastic shape. She's healthy. She gets along great. She can do whatever she wants. She goes to a high school reunion, and a lot of her classmates are already in walkers. And I think that's kind of what you're trying to accomplish is quality of life. When I think what gets the teenager started, the 20-something is sort of aesthetics. It's looks, it's vanity. What keeps you going is realizing how important it is later in life, the 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond.
Yeah.
Again, I think being successful in one thing, whether it's fitness or business, I think it sort of bleeds over into other aspects.
The same mindsets that requires success in one field is
it's routine.
It translates.
It's daily accomplishments.
It's an investment in your health. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Is there any common denominator you see from people that is there one common denominator you can point out? Hey, if you can work on this, you will see your fitness take off. You'll stick to it. You'll have the persistency required to see your goals. Is there
routine, just setting the routine, getting the habits down. It's hard to get into a good habit, and it's hard to get out of one. I mean, if you've been doing something for a while and you've developed a routine, and it becomes more mindless, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to go through that battle of do I want to go do this? Do I have to get up and go do this? If it just becomes just sort of thoughtless, that you just go, it's easy to stay in that groove. I think the pandemic has been really hard on people because it's knocked them out of that routine.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, they're going to have to relearn. They're going to have to start from scratch almost. So, it's huge, and for me, it's a stress relief.
I don't believe the last quarter of last year, with all of the craziness around the politics that translated over into the business world, it created this just sort of echo chamber of insanity. It just made everybody crazy.
Sure.
And I don't know if I would have been able to manage some of the stress that brought without that time at the gym. It's just invaluable to me.
Absolutely.
Because I know Terry Wilson year prior would have been a different Terry Wilson than this past year, because I would have been more of a, someone just needs to get cussed out and I'll feel better. I didn't cuss anyone out, which is just amazing to me.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for the people that were denied access to.
Yes.
It's a health. It's a form of maintaining not just physical health but mental health.
Yeah, it helps with depression and any stress issues. I mean, it's just a great benefit. I don't think they should have closed any health clubs down.
No, I mean, if you're going to keep a clinic open, if you're going to give health care, that to me is part of health care.
Sure.
I mean, it's just, it is a necessity.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that, during part of the lockdowns in California that health clubs were closed, but tanning salons were open. That was considered essential, I guess, is getting a tan.
Isn't it just amazing?
But fitness, not so much.
Wow.
So.
That is amazing. Well, I can tell you what kept me away from the gym was I had the wrong idea of what was required to just get started. When I was in high school, I was an athlete, and I was the one guy on the team that got to play ball, and we were a good team. I mean, but here's how we won. We had a coach that said they might outshoot us, they might outdunk us, but they will not outrun us. And for, 20 minutes, a half, we're going to run them out of the gym. And so our practices didn't consist of shooting, didn't consist of defensive drills or offensive drills. We ran suicides the entire time.
Yeah, conditioning. Yeah.
But I was in the best shape of my life. But that was, in my head, that's what exercise was. And so as I got older and started putting on weight and stress and hormones are changing, of course, my mindset was, if you see me running, you better run because something's about to blow up. I mean, that was my attitude. And so I always had this, that's what you had to do to be fit. And then I got a hold of a personal coach for some other things, but he had this health journey. And I was like, you went from 300 pounds, you're down to 180. How did you do it? And he just said, I learned that I can just get on a treadmill, keep my heart rate at this, and just do this or elliptical or something. And then as I got to feeling better, then I started doing weights and other things.
Sure.
But I was making the barrier entry so tall that I felt like fitness was fenced off from me. It was something I could never.
Yeah, that's common. I mean, for one thing, a lot of ex-athletes or military that had to run or had to exercise for so many years, it's the last thing they want to do. They sort of swear it off when they're out of the military or out of sports. It was such a chore, a mandatory thing that they don't want to do it anymore.
There's this negative thing, right? Psychological thing.
Or if they've been away for a number of years and they come back, they want to go back at such a high level. They make it a barrier. They make it sort of insurmountable. So just move.
Just move.
Well,
that's what I started doing, and I'm not there yet. I'm not where you guys are, but I'm not where I was. So.
But now you did sign up for our contest.
I did sign up for the contest.
Yeah.
You are such a salesperson. I'm telling you, you closed me on that. You need to hire her.
She hired me. So.
Or you need to hire him. Yeah. So tell me about the contest that I signed up for.
So it's a 12-week contest. It's going to start March 24th to June 16th. It's called Body Transformation. It's not based on how many pounds you lose. It's based on body fat percentage that you lose. And we're going to have the grand prize is $500 for top female, and then $500 for top male. And we'll have a $100 prize for whoever puts on the most muscle. And then the other $100 prize, I believe, is what was
largest drop in body weight. Yeah.
Body weight. So it's a fair contest. We use the InBody scale, which is pretty accurate.
So you're saying I need to just forego the gym for the next week, just eat M&Ms all day?
No cheating. That's cheating.
No. First of all, that's not going to help you much. I'm
trying to figure out how to game this thing.
Which is common. Yeah. So, I mean, in the past, we did body weight challenges, and that's a lot of it it's gaming. But this is based on body fat percentage and muscle gain.
A healthier way to lose weight.
You're not going to eat like a pig for the next week and gain body fat. You'll gain weight, temporary weight, but in that short of time, you're not going to gain body fat, not much.
Gotcha.
So this is based on body fat percentage, which encourages actually lifting weights or getting stronger, putting on lean muscle, which is going to not only increase your metabolism and burn more calories, but it's gonna help drop your body fat percentage.
Oh man, so I can't cheat either. I'm telling you, you guys are just making life difficult for me. I love it. I love it. That's what I need. Well, thank you guys for coming in tonight. I hope we didn't wear you out and put you on the spot too much.
No, not at all.
Absolutely.
And I want to encourage all the people that are in Spartanburg County and upstate, even if you're in Western North Carolina, it's worth the drive because you've got people that care for your health, that have created a safe, fun environment and got some incredible equipment, even though all of their treadmills are out of shape, every one of them. I got on every one of them. They just sweat. After about 20 minutes, they're just wet everywhere. So, but work with it. And some of them are broke. I mean, you can be on it for an hour and just walk off and not be skinny right then. But, that's what I give them a hard time. Thank you guys for coming in, and we'll be back right after this.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Why he's laughing already? I didn't do anything. I think it's just my face, but
yeah, probably.
As always, what we're really being reminded here is we're a bunch of idiots, and we're surrounded by people that are smarter than us, which is a good thing.
We're mediocre at best, and I think that's
mediocre at best. But self-awareness is incredibly important. So I think the fact that we've nailed that now,
I think so. Yeah,
we've got it in the bag. That's our show for today, folks. We hope you gain some knowledge or gain some wisdom here, and you got something from it. So we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to our show today at TerryWilson3.com.
Get a free sample copy of the book You Are Worth More by going to TerryWilson3.com now.
If you would like more information on how we can take your money, your business, and your life to the next level, then please visit us online at TerryWilson3.com.